You're listening to the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex,
And I'm Sam.
and we are the Bloodshed
Oh,
Baddies.
oh, oh, oh. Hey, baddies. Welcome to the Baddie Book Club.
This is where we take a break from true crime and talk about our monthly book club. So if you haven't read it yet, go read it and then come listen, or you have to listen to spoilers, your choice.
Also, nice to take a break from true crime. This month, we read A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas.
I think it's Moss, but you might be right. I might be wrong.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
So here's a little summary of the book. I'll do a dramatic reading. I
Eee.
am one for dramatic readings. Feyre has undergone more trials than one human woman can carry in her heart. Though she's now been granted the powers and lifespan of the High Fae, she is haunted by her time under the mountain and the terrible deed she performed to save the lives of Tamlin and his people. As her marriage to Tamlin approaches, Feyre's hollowness and nightmares consume her. She finds herself split into two different people, one who upholds her bargain with Rysand, High Lord of the feared Night Court, and one who lives out her life in the Spring Court with Tamlin. While Feyre navigates a dark web of politics, passions, and dazzling power, a great evil looms. She might just be the key to stopping it, but only if she can harness her harrowing gifts, heal her fractured soul, and decide how she wishes to shape her future and the future of a world in turmoil.
Beautiful read. So now we're going to talk about our thoughts on the book. And just as a reminder, I think we all know this though, but this is the second book in a series. Go, Lex, go.
So this book sucked me into the ACOTAR world for sure. I had just started dipping my toes into fantasy, and this second book in the series made me dive right in. I loved, loved, loved learning more about Reese. In my head, I called him Rice the whole time that I read it, and then I learned that it was Reese, and I just can't, it's still Rice in my head.
I just picture two eyeballs on like a bowl of white rice, like the white jasmine sticky rice.
Stop. So I liked learning more about his character and watching his and Feyre's love story develop. I think it's such a better love story than her and stupid Tamlin. I
Yes.
also really enjoyed learning about Feyre's powers, and I'm definitely a fan of like the having to save the whole world trope.
Agree, agree, agree. So for me, it was for sure such a different book than the first one. If you read our Instagram at Bloodshed Baddies, you know I am not a fantasy girly at all. It's just for some reason hard for me to get into fantasy sometimes. Reading wise, I do like watching fantasy like Star Wars. Woo woo. But whereas the first book was like Beauty and the Beast meets Vampire Diaries meets Hunger Games book, this book, the second book, really, really, really held its own. We were introduced to so many different parts of the world. Sarah J. Maas did a great job of describing it. Although sometimes I did find it hard to keep up, but I think that could be because I listened to it on the audio again. I also really like to see the book open up with Farah having severe PTSD because I feel like oftentimes that could have been overlooked, passed by. She's just this baddie living her life still. So we get to see Farah's personal growth throughout the story as well. Her relationship with Rhysand grow, all with her being a baddie and, like you said, help save the world. And then, of course, the twisty ending, which I was not expecting at all. So I thought this book was great. Honestly, I really liked this book. What was your favorite part?
So I think my favorite part is like a collection of all the little intricacies of Feyre and Rhysand's relationship. I especially like when he's like teaching her how to read and he makes her read all like the little notes about how great and handsome he is. I just think
That
it's
was
like
so
so
cute.
cute.
That was so cute.
Well, what about you?
I think mine would probably be when they saw that star show. It was like a star festival and the stardust was falling all over them. And she kind of quote unquote like paints for their first time. She draws like a little picture, I think, on his hand, on Rhysand's hand. And I think it was just like, first off, I wanted to be in that scene. I'm like, oh my God, this sounds so beautiful and I want to be here. But also it's just a very like sweet sweet moment between Farah and Rhysand. I also admit that I really, really, really love too the sisters turning into fairies at the end because I did not see that coming. Personally, me, I was like, oh my God, I did not see this coming at all. And then I'm also like, oh my God, this story can grow in so many different ways. There's so many different characters that can develop. So I'm excited about that. And didn't you tell me book 5 is actually from one of the sisters' perspectives?
Nesta's. I think it's actually book 4 because I think the novella is like 3.5, but I call it book 5 because it's the 5th book I read. But yes, it is from Nesta's side, and that's my favorite one in the series so far.
I'm just excited. I thought that was a really good way to do that. Yay, happy parts. What do you think your least favorite part was, Lex?
So this was really hard for me because I honestly love every part of the book. I obviously hate when Tamlin locks her in the house like a psychopath, but obviously that was like really important for story development and character development. So I'm not mad that it happened, but it was like the part that I was the most angry at, I guess.
100% agree. And going off what you just said, real quick on a side tangent, the author, Sarah J. Maas, definitely does an amazing job of book 1. You're Team Tamlin. You're like, oh my God, I love this love story. It's so cute. Where you would never expect to be like, oh, I'm Team Rhysand, but she really paints a picture for you to freaking hate Tamlin, which is great for the book.
Yes, which I don't think you know this since you're not on TikTok, but it is very like well known once you get past book 1 on TikTok. Everybody on TikTok calls him Tampon instead
Oh, I
of
love that
Tamlin.
so much. That's actually hilarious. Also, I'm wondering if maybe you know this from TikTok. I wonder as Sarah J. Maas was writing book 1, did she always see Farah with Rhysand? Or was this something that developed in her head after?
I'm unsure. I need to look into that. I haven't looked much into that. I think yes, because I don't think she could have done much if it was just Tamlin. And like, because we meet Rhysand in the first book, and
Yeah.
like he says like something, what the line, it's so famous, like, I've been looking for you.
Yes, and he brings it up
And
in this
it's,
book.
yes, and it's not just like him trying to get her out of it. It's, I've been looking for you my whole life. You're it.
Truth.
It
Truth.
makes you want to I like literally get choked up. I want Ryan to be my book boyfriend. I
Also,
just think
Lexi
it's so
doesn't cry
cute.
very often, so crying, she's getting choked up right now. This is crazy.
I cried in most of the books in the series.
It's very good. And then I was also going to say, you're thinking of like the cute romantic part, but when she sees Rhysand for the first time, she's like, this is the most handsome man I've ever met. Because I remember thinking like, oh, what about Tamlin?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about tampon?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying now.
Okay, we got off track. What was your least favorite part?
My least favorite part, and mainly just because I'm disappointed about it, is the fact that Lucian turned into like a poo-poo head. Like, I think there was potential for him to kind of help Farah on the DL because in the first book, he was like her friend. And in this book, you find out that that friendship was not great. And that's hurtful. We've all been there where our friends turn out to be poo-poos. I mean, to name a few. No, I'm not going to name them. I'm just kidding. But I am glad that, is it Nessa or the other one who's his mate?
Nesta. What?
I
No,
am
Elaine.
Elaine.
Yeah, Elaine.
I am glad that Elaine and him are mates though, because I think that that's potential for him to be a redeemable character again.
I was sad about that too because I really liked Lucian in the first
I
book.
did. And when she saw him in the woods and he was just like, come back. Bleh. I'm like, get the heck out of here. Like, you're supposed to be like, run away. I won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that ending, Lux?
I love the surprise of Nesta and Elaine getting turned into Fae. Like you said, I did not see that coming at all.
At all.
I also really love that the ending sets up the scene for the next book like perfectly. Like it makes you want to read the next book. You're like, okay, what happens now?
I do agree.
And I really do like that the end of the book really mirrors the beginning of the book. In the beginning of the book, Fair is in the Supreme Court. She doesn't want to be there, but she has to be there anyways. And she's trying to figure it out. And now it's the same thing. She's there. She doesn't want to be there, but now she's there with a purpose.
That's actually great. And I love that as well. Like, she's completely 360 turn where like you said, she's there for a reason to help out, which is also great. I, again, like how the sisters turned into the fairies. I also like how at the end, what's his name? Lucian, knows or has an idea of what Farah is up to, but he can't say crap. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out as well. And then it did make me really, really sad though that Rhysand and Farah's like main connection thingy. I don't remember what it's called, but got severed. I get why, but I'm like, oh my God, they can't talk to each other much. They just like feel each other now, and it's sad.
I know they can't have their like secret little conversations.
I know. Ugh, anywho, so I grabbed together some questions about the book. You want to do some rapid fire questioning?
Yeah, Sam, but I want you to tell the people where you got these questions from.
No.
Yes.
I'm ashamed. Don't
Okay,
make me.
fine. I won't make you.
All right, fine. Tell them where I looked it up.
Chat GPT.
But I don't recommend using it. I don't like Chat GPT. I know it's really beneficial for some people, but personally, I just ran out of time. Anywho, they're not bad. Thanks, Chat GPT.
Am I asking the first one or are you?
I can ask the first one.
Okay.
What do you think is the most significant factor in Farah's transformation?
Honestly, I think I want to say like it's definitely Reese, but I don't think it's Reese as much as it is having someone who is like so supportive and patient with her.
I love that. I think to add on the patience with her is she was in a bad place and she really had to grow and figure herself out first. And you're right, Reese was like super patient with her, so I agree.
Yeah, I just like love that he never like forced her to do anything in the night court. Question 2. Are you team Tamlin or Rhysand and why?
I am 1000% team Resand because I think everyone deserves a supportive person that lets you go through things on your own, but is there to support you through it, to understand you, and to say, hey, you're not crazy. You've been through a lot in your life, and it's okay. So I also love how Resand not only is with Farah, but with his court members, with his people in that town. He's like way nicer than Tur Tamlin. What do you think?
Yeah. Uh Definitely Team Reese. He's my book boyfriend forever. I just think like you said, Tamlin's not supportive of Fair. He just wants to ignore everything she's feeling. I think he's very
Yes,
self-centered, and I don't think he actually loves her.
I agree. Do you think, going off that, Tamlin's behavior was justified?
Hell no.
So for me personally, I don't think it's justified. Let me start with that. Lex just gave me a really bad look. I don't think it's justified, but I did try to put myself in Tamlin's thought process in that wanted to protect Farah. I get that. However, you saw how depressed she was. She was like losing weight and she wasn't sleeping well. No matter how much you wanted to protect her, which was good, you had to help her out with something. You had to help her in some way. And he didn't do that in any way at all. So, not justified. Agreed.
Okay, last question in the rapid fire round. A
Woo-hoo.
big theme is identity and power. What does A Court of Mist and Fury suggest about the relationship between identity and power? How does it help Feyre have a place in the world?
I think that one thing I like about this book is the emphasis on identity and how important it is to find your own identity and be complacent and happy with your identity and place in the world and changing your situation if you're not, which I think is really great. I think it plays into the power, obviously, because they're fairies or fays,
I don't
but
know.
they're in the Fae court, I guess. So it has to do with power as well because they're in this Fae court. But I think it also shows that if you know who you are, you have a positive self, you identify yourself in a positive way, you do better with power. You have a better leadership skill, like Resand. So for instance, that other chick, I forget her name, but that crazy chick from book 1, she like didn't know who she was and like was trying to sleep with everybody and she was a terrible leader.
Amarantha?
I think so, yes. So like she didn't know who she was and her power is terrible. I think Tamlin don't know who the poo he is. He's trying to be like his dad and do all that kind of crap. So I think to have power in a positive way, you need to also know who you are and be a positive person. I don't know. I kind of went off a little bit, but what do you think?
I definitely agree with everything you said. And I think like the way it helps Feyre have a place in this world is very much that like if she would have just sat in it and like gave in to her depression and not tried, she would have ended up just staying in the Supreme Court. And now she has the chance to be like on the night court and make a difference and like now be a spy in
Yeah, and
someone else's territory.
be her full potential and have take her powers in a positive way where Tamlin was trying to hide her powers, who she is, and now she can take her powers and work through them and work on them, and it enhances and makes herself better. So like take your superpowers and be better with it. I don't know, I thought it was a really great theme in the book.
Agreed.
All right. We're nearing the end here, baddies. These will be short, sweet, somewhat short, somewhat sweet, less tangenty. But I do want to have a special corner for Baddie Awards. Lex, who are you giving your Baddie Award to this book?
I definitely give Feyre a Baddie Award because I think to go back at the end and to pretend to be with Tamlin and act like Rhys is a bad guy is such a difficult thing to do, especially when you just have discovered yourself, like we were talking about. To go back and hide that for the better of the world, I think she is just a baddie, baddie, baddie.
I 100% agree. My Baddie Award is for Rhysand. And that's basically because this man lets a woman, the woman he loves, find herself. He helps her grow into the baddie that she becomes. He gives her space, he gives her understanding. And I think that's like so important in any relationship. So, whoop whoop, Rhysand, you're a baddie.
Let's go. And Sam, what is your overall rating for this book?
So originally on the Insta, I gave it a 4.25, but after talking about it with you and talking about the themes a little bit and the characters, it's not much, but I'm going to raise it to a 4.5.
Woo woo. This book, like all the books in the ACOTAR universe, are a 5 out of 5 to me, except for the novella, but that's all right. It's just a novella.
Maybe we'll get there one day, baddies. But this is the Baddie Book Corner. Or Baddie Book Club. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you like it. I think it'd be something fun to switch it up a little bit to do once a month. Check out the Instagram for sure for the next month's book to read along. We're currently reading The Naturals, and you can look at more information about that at Bloodshed Baddies.
Please send us an email with any book club suggestions. Sorry if you just heard my dog in the background. To bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, review, follow the pod, tell a friend. And as always, thank you to Cousin Vinny for the best intro and outro music. We love you. And make sure to tune in next week for our true crime episode and next month for our book club on the naturals. We love you guys.
We love you. Thank you for listening. We hope you liked it and enjoyed something a little bit different.
Bye.